Thanks for checking out my micro drawings challenge. Today I'm drawing a picture of Snoopy fishing and catching Woodstock. One of those cute pictures. Of course, they're all pretty cute. At any rate, I've been doing a lot of fishing myself, so I thought, let's have some fishing theme continuation here. So I'm starting, again, I usually start with the facial features of one of the characters. In this case, I thought I'd start with, I think it's like a visor, a sun visor that Snoopy has on. So I started with that for reference. And then from there, I'll keep working down his ear. And I'll show reference items throughout the video so you can get an idea of how big he is, or how small they are, I should say. Until you see them in person, it's really hard to get that perspective, even though there is a quarter and a Q-tip here for you to compare them to. So they're just working around Snoopy's nose, down to his collar, putting his nose on, and his little eyes, kind of a rolled back eye look like, oh my goodness, Woodstock again. So, and there's his turned down mouth, not happy with the catch he's going to have at the end of his line in just a little bit here. I'm using a Copic multiliner 0.03 to draw in the black parts here, the black line. There's a Q-tip for reference to show that his head's quite a bit smaller than the tip of the Q-tip. And then I'll keep working down his back. Add the tail. And the little can. I can only assume there were worms in there. It's pretty emptied out now. So I suppose Snoopy's had a busy day of catching nothing, and then he catches his little buddy. And there I'll work down the front of him. And right now I'm trying to figure out where to go here. So I end up going with his bottom or his back feet. Kind of sitting down on his butt with his back feet up in the air. Then he's holding the fishing pole, of course. So the back end of it is right in there where his hand is. And then I'm working on his hands or paws that are actually holding the fishing pole. Later on, I'll be using Copic sketch markers for the color. They've got a fine tip and a broad chisel tip. It is the fine tip that I use. It's flexible and comes to a pretty sharp point, so I can work in the smaller areas. I still have to just barely touch the marker. Otherwise, it leaves too much ink on the paper and it bleeds through the black lines. So there's his fishing pole. Yeah, and here I'm kind of just wavering on which direction to go. You know, I was thinking about starting to put the grass or the bank in, but I thought I'll go to the fishing line down to Woodstock's flipper that Snoopy is hooked through. So there's one of the flippers going in. And his little legs. Again, thanks for checking out the channel. Please consider subscribing and sharing if you haven't. I'd appreciate it. And that way you can get notified of any new videos that I post. I do a variety of subject matter, not just Peanuts or Snoopy's characters. And you can check out the other ones within the videos that I have posted on my channel. So here I'm just working on the grass bank. It's kind of an undercut, so later on I'll come back with some brown underneath. And I don't do a lot of blending with the colors. You'll see on this one I end up using brown, a few different brown tones to give the illusion that the bank has some three-dimensional properties. There's a quarter and a Q-tip for reference. Again, Snoopy's whole body is probably about from the lower cheek of George Washington's face to his eyeball. So he's fairly small. So if you take out a quarter and actually look at that, you can get an idea for how small this drawing is. There's Woodstock, continuing to work on him. His little wings. It's just not a lot of detail there. It's so small. And there's his little face or nose coming around, a beak, I suppose. And of course he's got goggles on, because why wouldn't a little yellow bird be swimming around in the water with goggles and flippers? And putting that detail in there, and then his, I always want to say it's his hair, but it's his feathers on his head, I suppose. So those are going in. So now you can see the whole scene together. I do add some more details though. Some rocks in the water, just some lines to give the illusion of ripples in the water. And then I'm getting close to adding the color. I'll use a couple tones of gray on the stones as well to give kind of a shading or shadow effect. So some of the pauses coming up here when I'm trying to decide which colors to use exactly. I do lay out my colors ahead of time, thinking about the ones that I'll need for the drawing. But I still got to decide which one I'm going to go with first. And here I have to rotate the paper so that I can work that fine tip of the red marker. Sorry it got blurry. I think I'd focused on my hand or my finger here for a little bit. It was in the way. It'll clear up after a little bit. I'm putting in that visor red and his collar. So I'm just very lightly touching it with the tip of that Copic sketch marker. There, it came back into focus so you can see it. And now moving on to the next color. There's to show what I'm using. There's a Q-tip for reference. So here's the yellow for Woodstock. Again, just barely touching in there on his little legs. And just working right up to that line. And there's his head and his hair, or his head feathers. Just getting that in there. And next, again, I'm choosing the color. Here comes the next one. There's the green, so I'll put that in for the grass on the bank. I already had the black lines there to give that illusion of some grass pieces or stems sticking up. So I'm pretty much just going in plain with the green there. I could add a couple of tones to give a little different effect in the future. Sorry about that. I moved it out off screen when I was grabbing the next color accidentally. Here's my grays that are going on the rocks. There's a lighter gray. I think that's a number 1 cool shadow. And then I use a number 3 cool shadow to put a little darker shadow on the bottom of the rocks. Again, I'm turning upside down just so I can work that fine tip right up to the black line from the Copic multiliner. There I'm coloring just the inside of the open can that's laying on its side. Again, I'm choosing different colors. There's the orange coming in for the flippers on Mr. Woodstock. And I also used that for the, there I flipped it sideways there so I could get into the tips of the flippers. But I used that on the can as well. And getting different colors here. There's the blue for the water. Just lightly putting that in. Again, I've got the black lines that I previously drew to give the illusion of the ripples in the water. And just working around the rocks. And again, choosing different colors. Don't have much left here. I'm kind of on the home stretch, grabbing the browns. So I'll put I think I ended up having 3 different shades of brown. to give the shadow of the undercut bank. So up near the grass there, I'll come back to that and add another couple browns in there to help complete the scene and tie it all together. Again, rotating the paper so that I can work down just to that line without bleeding into the blue of the water. And then I'm grabbing another brown and coming back to that undercut of the bank. I don't know if you can hear it. I got a darn fly in my sound booth. My sound booth is a vehicle with the windows shut. That's pretty high tech, I know. All right, there's the darker brown going under the bank there. And then I did come back and blend this a little bit. So I don't blend a lot with these pictures because they're just so small. It's just not a lot of space there. But in this case, I can. So I came back with that same color that I started with and blended those two together. And then I'll come back with a little darker. I think it was a burnt sienna that I came up under the grass bank here again, just lightly. So that, a little darker there where that shadow would be stronger. I think it turned out pretty good. So we're on the home stretch here, wrapping this up pretty soon. Just kind of taking a look at it. Think I pretty much got it. Then I'll put the date on it. It's Sunday, June 28th. I guess I decided to add a little more water ripples. And my initials. And again, thanks for checking out the drawing and my channel, Micro Drawings, and please consider subscribing and sharing. Hope you enjoyed it.